So for the second module task, the peripheral hacking, I will be using the Microsoft wired mouse connected through USB to this iMac. And then within Macs, I have this patch open, which basically allows me to use the mouse within Ableton through the Hi objects and through this drop down. So yeah, I apologise, this Max session is running quite slow. You can see from a selection, you can pick the Microsoft USB optical mouse, and then what I did was see which of these buttons was coming out of what routing numbers. So this left click is coming out of the third routing number, and the right click is coming out of the fourth routing number, as you can see, and then the middle click is coming out of route 5, and then the scrolling is coming out of route 6. And so then basically I just connected them to 4 outputs of this patch and connected them to bangs. So that's the end of this patch, and then if we go into where we're sending this, so then the outputs of that previous patch then come in through these 4 inputs, and it's a very simple message just to tell Ableton that a button is being pressed on this mouse. And this live object here is basically the bridge communication point between Macs and Ableton, so that Ableton can recognize what's happening in Macs and apply it to what's happening on screen in Ableton. So then in this message object here is basically how the buttons are being correlated to the functions in Ableton. So then in this patch, which is part of the parameter messages, they come in through the load bang object, and it's basically just 4 simple messages telling Ableton that the first input is a path live set tracks 0 clip slots 0, which basically means the first column in Ableton, and then the second slot in that column, which is slot 1, so slot 0 and then slot 1, so that's 1 and 2, and then the 3 and 4 is basically the next column over because it's tracks 1 instead of tracks 0, and then slot 0, which is the first slot, and then slot 1, which is the second slot. So it's basically just 4 buttons: right click, left click, right click, middle click, and then the middle scroll to control a track in Ableton. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration now. Change to the strings. And if I click the middle button here, the top one here should play.